This French politician is one of the few public figures who dare to tell the truth today and firmly denounce the injustices which have been done for years to the Palestinian people. I assure you that his speeches bring him more enemies than friends, because he stands out from most world leaders who do not dare to say a word of truth about what is happening, because they are afraid of losing friendship and support. Recently invited on a French television known as TV5, the former French Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Dominique De Villepin strongly denounced the massacre of the Palestinian people that is taking place with a total inaction of the international community and Western governments competing with each other on who will provide more political and military support to Netanyahu and his government. He began by recalling the origins of this conflict and the responsibility of the international community today.
En 1948, il y a un peuple.
In 1948, there is a people who were deprived of their land. 700,000 Palestinians were forced to leave, and this injustice is still seen today, and it is this injustice that Iran is exploiting. When Iran asserts itself today as the leader of the Palestinian cause, because the other moderate Arab countries are doing nothing, Iran is trying to strengthen its position in the Arab Muslim world based on the Palestinian cause. Iran is using this injustice in its advantage. So the wound that the Palestinians have been suffering from for many years should be healed by the international community.
La communauté internationale doit la refermer.
Dominique De Villepin deplores the fact that the United Nations, which played a major role in the creation of the Jewish state on Palestinian land, is doing absolutely nothing today to establish peace in the region and put an end to the suffering of millions of innocent civilians.
This great historical cause is linked to the history of the United Nations, because the United Nations was founded in the same period as the creation of the State of Israel, and Israel was in fact created by the United Nations.
According to De Villepin, who is famous for his 2003 speech before the UN Security Council against the American invasion of Iraq, the international community has an obligation to put an end to the injustice done to the Palestinian people, and this must be done by creating a free Palestinian state, today more than ever. However, he regrets the inaction of the so-called international community, and more particularly of the total inaction of French President Emmanuel Macron.
Donc nous avons tous une responsabilité particulière vis-à-vis.
We all have a particular responsibility towards what is happening in that region. We must correct this injustice by creating a Palestinian state. Unfortunately, European diplomacy and American diplomacy are totally absent. There have been attempts at the United Nations to try to reach a peaceful resolution, but France and the USA have done nothing to put things forward. In France, we have a president who did not even participate in the emergency meeting of the United Nations on the situation in Gaza.
Il ne participe même pas à la réunion d'urgence du Conseil de sécurité sur la situation à Gaza.
In a previous interview on another television, De Villepin spoke about Israeli colonization in the West Bank, placing it in the context of the current war, recalling that there are currently more than 500,000 Israelis colonizing the West Bank. He considered that the first condition for Israel to have peace is the departure of these settlers. Today, all Israelis have understood that they can no longer live with the Palestinians. Today, there are 500,000 Israelis colonizing the West Bank, and their departure is the price of security for Israel. We must give the Palestinians a state where they can live, a viable state, a real state that can be built. What we want is to stop these massacres, and what we also want is to truly allow Israel to live in peace and security, he declared. As a conclusion, it should be remembered that these statements came at a time when the International Criminal Court, ICC, recently issued arrest warrants against Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, for war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in the Gaza Strip. This war launched by these people against millions of innocent civilians since October 2023 has already caused more than 45,000 deaths, the vast majority of them being women and children, including more than 110,000 injured, not to mention millions of displaced people who are now, according to the UN, threatened by hunger and other catastrophic humanitarian conditions. What do you think of the statements of this French politician? Share your views in the comments. Thank you very much for your time. Assalamu alaikum.